Who do we think is the worst mom in all of fiction? So over on Substack, I talked about how we are now in a weird moment of like mommy issues in fiction. I also talked about this 2 years ago, and I need to go find that original post where I gave a bunch of book recommendations. In the post, I also talked about Claire Dederer's Monsters, where she talked about how only mothers are asked to be purely good, and when you're a woman who is a mother, you can never ever make a mistake. But then that also got me thinking about the depictions of bad moms in fiction. Basically, I took a bunch of characters from TV, movies, and books and sort of put them on this like rubric and was trying to understand like what is considered like the worst mom in fiction. With this category, the monstrous mother, it is the like most basic category to understand because these characters are like openly evil and openly coming after you. So there's not that like weird psychological tension there. It's all pure fear and like horror. So obviously you have the other mother from Coraline, who I love. I think she's fun, but obviously she is terrifying and like trying to kidnap Coraline to this dark world. The mother from Skinamarink, who is obviously terrifying because we can't really see her. And then Ellie from Evil Dead Rise, where the monstrousness comes from motherhood, right? Like the whole point of the movie is that she is her most terrifying because she is like their mom and she's coming after them. The next category I called the overly involved. So these are characters who sort of terrorize their children by being like smother. You have the mom from Black Swan. You have Lysa Arryn from A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones. You have the newest entry from The Girlfriend, which I loved. Going up the scale in evil, you have Mother Gothel, who literally kidnaps Rapunzel in Tangled. Then I said in the post that there's also this thing that they do with immigrant mothers where when the story is being told from the perspective of the kid, there's always this weird tension where it's like, oh my God, my mom was so evil. And it's like, was your mom evil or was she just like a brown mom who loved you? So like the mom from Real Women Have Curves was like mean. Of course she's mean. I'm not going to say she wasn't, but also she meant well. And then Davy's mom from Never Have I Ever is positioned as this like oppositional figure, but like Davy acts crazy a lot of the time, and that's the point of the show. And also, she just like loves her and doesn't want her to keep getting in trouble, and is also going through massive grief. You can see as this goes on where I become more empathetic to a lot of these characters because I'm like, okay, but like, what are we actually judging them on? So like Mrs. Bennet from Pride and Prejudice is overly involved, but like if she does not do her job, her daughters will be homeless and like die. As a woman in this society, they were not allowed to inherit property or inherit money. So like they either get married or they like hope someone cares about them and takes care of them for Regency era England at the time of Jane Austen's writing. The next category is the resentful. Obviously, Olivia Soprano is a whole other category unto herself. But Emily Gilmore is another character who is very complicated, right? Like, I always loved Emily. I always stood with her. Is she mean? Yes. Is she withholding? Yes. Is she cold? Yes. But, like, I don't know. Lorelai's tough. The tension between comes from this idea that like Emily believes that there's only one way to live, right? But like she never got to really experience life outside of being a wife and mother, right? She like got married right out of college and she never worked outside the home. And so her representation in the world, in the outside world, is Lorelai, and she feels that Lorelai failed her by getting pregnant at 16. And then also Lorelai actively terrorizes her. So then there's always this dynamic where they're like constantly fighting because they want different things in life. Then we have Marion from Lady Bird, who is obviously beloved. That movie makes me cry every single time I watch it. She is incredible, but like, again, is she the nicest? No. And I think that's where your mileage varies, right? Like, does being a good mother only occur in like warmth and safety and like loving comfort, or does being a good mother mean that like I care about what happens to you and I take you seriously and I hope that you take yourself seriously? Amelia from The Babadook was obviously struggling with her mental health, but also she like openly lashes out at her kid a bunch of times in the movies. The mom from I, Tonya is just a whole other beast. Like, this is very resentful. And then again, I have a lot of empathy and grace for Evelyn from Everything Everywhere All at Once because she is again struggling. She's in a new country. She is trying to like make sure that her daughter like makes it, right? And she is struggling with the queer thing. Her mom was deeply emotionally repressed and like wasn't accepting of a lot. You know what I mean? Like, you're throwing a lot at her. I think you should give her a little bit of grace. The next category is the cold, and this is a character that is usually reserved for like upper class, but like very emotionally distant and very just like reserved. Lucille Bluth from Arrested Development is introduced to us telling us that she doesn't care for Job, one of her own children, and then lying and saying, I care about all my children equally. And obviously this is a comedy, but also she like terrorizes those kids. The mom from Greenleaf is amazingly portrayed by Lynn Whitfield, who is queen of bad moms. And she is both cold and resentful because she is like really mean to her daughter on the show. I think both her daughters. And then Bree, seasons 1 and 2 of Desperate Housewives, has a really interesting arc. But again, she is not warm. She is not giving. Moira Rose, again, played for laugh, but also very like not the warmest. Jack's mom from 30 Rock, and then Nicole Kidman from Stoker, who is like cold and resentful. In Monsters, Claire Dederer says that the worst crime that a woman can commit is not being a mother, right? So like leaving her kid. And I thought this was interesting. This is the absent, right? So Last Showgirl, The Lost Daughter, The Hours, characters who physically leave their children. And we explore the trauma that causes their kids in all three of these movies. Special mention to the mom from Sharp Objects, who is one of the worst mothers ever put on television, right? I'm not gonna spoil it if you've never seen, but like this is a crazy, crazy situation. And then I think for me and my neuroses, I think that the combination of coldness and sort of meanness and sort of aloofness and sort of withholdingness means that the mother from Succession is one of the worst mothers ever put on television for me, only because I watched a compilation of all of her scenes again. I obviously wrote the thing with the idea that this was going to be my number one, right? I named it after one of her quotes, but her sort of intensity and the way that she just actively comes for those kids is shocking. And then, of course, that scene from the third season where she talks to Shiv and she's like, I shouldn't have had kids. I should have gotten dogs. It's like one of the craziest things ever said, especially to your own kid. In the post, I called her the unmother. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Is there anyone that you would defend and is there anyone that you would remove?